All right, guys, it is time to discuss week 3 of the Caps Gaming Showcase as we break down all the action in the week that was. I am No Sleeves 12. He is Scheckel from Montage, and we're going to bring all the storylines and whatnot from week 3. First, let's start with some numbers. First, we do have to discuss that there was 3 more teams as of right now, Monday night, that are now out due to forfeits or just unable to continue, and that would be Reckless Abandoned, the Degenerates, and Elite Rejects. So those teams will not continue on. I believe we're down to 75 teams currently left. We started with 82, and still a ton of teams, but as the season goes along, it's going to be more and more difficult to, kind of ride the season out if you're 0-5, 0-6. And you're having to get 6 guys together at Saturday. But this is the first NHL run event for sixes, so you're only going to get better if you keep playing, so just keep that in mind. Now, as far as records go, there's 10 teams that are 3-0 now, 30 that are 2-1, 26 that are 1-2, and 9 that are 0-3. So just looking ahead, with 10 teams being 3-0 with the Swiss format, that means there's going to be 5 teams that are 4-0, meaning that one of the 4-0 teams is going to get a 3-1 team next week, and you're going to see that as odd numbers in terms of records, continues to grow. As far as forfeits goes, guys, just want to mention this quickly, is that if you forfeit 2 weeks in a row, you will be eliminated from the event unless you opt back in with the admin. So if you do have 2 forfeits in a row, message Oway or one of the other Battlefy admins to make sure that you aren't kicked from the event. And there will be more, I believe there will be more teams eliminated throughout the week, but it's not a drastic amount, but it's kind of to be expected. So last little bit of numbers here before we get into it is 9 series went the full 3 games this week, continuing a trend as it was 5 in week number 1, 7 in week number 2, and now we had 9 series out of the 39 go 3, and that's only going to continue as the teams get matched up again with the Swiss format where they're closer. You're playing teams of your skill level or at least of your record, and you're going to see those numbers drastically change and give you a lot more tighter series. So with that being said, Scheckel, take it away. Give me the series that surprised you the most.
Yeah, series that surprised me this week. Phantoms winning 2-0 over Legacy. It's not because the Phantoms won, but it's mostly because they kept Legacy to scoring 1 goal in 6 periods. Both these teams are really, really good teams. I think it was a 2-0 win and a 1-0 win or 3-1 win. It was very, very closely contested, but I was very, very surprised to see Legacy only score 1 goal in 6 periods. Rumor is that they might be switching up their lineup a little bit, and Gren might be moving up to forward. So that's something to look out going forward.
And they're very close. I mean, Legacy almost lost last week. If you do remember that, they were the featured game of the week against Hidden Potential, and it took a miraculous third period where they blew up for 4 goals, where I believe they'd only scored 2 in the prior. To kind of take the series there. So that is something to watch, as they are one of the better teams, will threaten for the LAN, but definitely need to figure it out offensively, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if there are some roster changes there. So what about another series that surprised you?
Yeah, this one I was really shocked to see this one. Gladiators winning 2-0 over Underdogs. Underdogs was definitely one of the favorites going into this event. Definitely one of the favorites going to possibly make the LAN. They lost 3-2 and 5-2. They usually don't let up that many goals, and they usually score more than just 4 in 2 games like that. They had a great playoff run in ESHL last season, making, I believe, the semifinals. And then many would consider them a top 10 team in this tournament. And now they're sitting at 1-2.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they get another top tier? We'll discuss that a little bit, but another very, very good team that kind of surprised and fell to 1-2. That could be devastating because, again, as we've said it throughout, you're gonna have to get yourself 5 wins to guarantee yourself a spot. There will be some teams that should get in with 4-4 with goal differential, but I mean 1-2 early means that you're gonna have to win with only 5 weeks remaining in the season. You're probably gonna have to win 4 out of those 5 to guarantee yourself a spot. So that's something to watch. Give me another series.
Yeah, the last series is going to be Culture winning 2-0 over Intensity. I only bring this up because at the beginning of the year, my brother was in your stream and he mentioned that CHLers are going to have some tough time playing in this tournament, and he caught some flack. I caught some flack because they thought it was me on Twitter. But the team that he was talking about is now 0-3. So I guess my brother kind of knew what he was talking about there, and they haven't showed up and played well enough to get a win over a series yet. So they got some heavy lifting to do in the rest of the season if they want to make the playoffs, which is what they thought they had a chance to do.
No, for sure. Now, with that being said, let's discuss the featured game of the week that did take place. I was able to cover with John Wayne with Composure facing Dare Infinity. It only went 2 games. We didn't have a 3-game series for the first time in the featured game of the week. But talk about that. Who impressed you in that series?
Yeah, we're going to go with Infinity first. Rux, you've heard it probably on stream if you watch the stream. He's a NBA 2K player, has made the league for the first 2 seasons, looking to make it the league for the 3rd season. He's been an NHL player for years in old gen, and he came back in the competitive scene for this Caps tournament. And I thought he played really, really well. I thought he did a lot of work for zone entry for Infinity, and he had some quality scoring chances that just didn't find the back of the net for Infinity, but I thought he looked really, really well for having a few years off from that competitive scene.
Oh, for sure. He did look well. They did struggle mightily generating, zone entry specifically, and then getting anything through as Composure just collapsed right in front of their goaltender and 5-man trapped along the line. But the chances that they did have, Rux definitely did well, to kind of create some zone entries for him. So.
The next person that impressed me is no surprise here. It is going to be Odie. Many say he's the best defenseman in the game, and he definitely showed up last night. He didn't allow any entries onto this side. If he did have an entry, he was poking it off the stick right away and picking it up. If they tried dumping it in on his side, it seemed like he came away with the puck every single time. He made life really, really hard for Infinity's offense, and one of the main reasons why they only scored 1 goal in those 6 periods.
No, absolutely. He was really fun to watch, and again, it was on both sides. Composure didn't really have a lot of zone time, but it's kind of fun to watch someone like Odie, who's extremely good, one of the, if not the best defenseman in sixes, just kind of create time and space in the offensive zone by himself, as well as his zone entry is just very good. It's really rare to find someone so confident with the puck that actually knows what he's doing from the back end and gives Composure a lot of safety valve entries where they can just reverse back to him, let him carry the puck out, and not have to worry about getting pressured, and can fly up and not have to collapse back to make sure the breakout goes because you don't have anyone nervous back there with the puck.
For sure. And the last person that impressed us, he's actually going to be our guest in a little bit here, but it was going to be Boosh. He had one hell of a game, I thought, for being a util and having to step in. He had 3 primary assists on the 4 goals that Composure scored. 2 were really difficult passes that he thread the needle on and was able to find Marco or Tendi, I believe. He really, really impressed me with what he did for Composure, stepping in for them.
No, absolutely. Watching him, we're very good friends with Boosh, so it wasn't really all that surprising that he wasn't able to be, or he was able to be an impact on the team. But again, when you have someone who you have a normal sixes lineup and with 6 firm players that are usually in it, and they scrim together all the time. Boosh as a util will only fill in really when someone's out, and regardless if you've been playing or you're a good player, you still have to kind of adjust and whatnot, and especially considering how difficult the series was as far as how talented both teams were. It was fun to watch him do his thing. Why don't we go and bring Boosh on and ask him about the series and what he thought? All right, so let's discuss the featured game of the week with Boosh from Composure. He did play right wing. Is their listed utility. Hi, Boosh.
Hello.
You look awfully nice tonight.
Thanks. I can't see you, but I'm sure you look good.
Always, man. All right, so we got a couple questions for you to go over the series. We're going to let Scheckel take it away. Shex, it's all yours.
All right, Boosh, first question for you. Got to experience your first taste of Caps gaming against a high-quality team in Infinity. Thoughts on the game and how it went for you and your team?
Obviously the biggest thing is like being able to hop in as a utility, even though like I've played in big games and sixes before. It was nice to be able to win, especially in 2-0 fashion in a best of 3, like not dropping a game. Another interesting thing kind of personally was my old team who I've been playing with for years, and those are like my best friends. So on a competitive scale and like friendly competition, it was obviously really nice to beat my friends, especially being on a new team now. And the games itself, I thought we played really well defensively. And then we were just able to kind of capitalize on the opportunities that we had offensively. But overall, I think it was definitely our defense that won us both games.
I want to talk. How do you guys play quite a bit, like during the week? Because just specifically the first goal that you guys scored in the series was an awesome play by you. Just tic tac toe back to Tendy. First taste of the tournament, I believe, as they get down low as he sends it out in front. What a goal! Is it something that like you guys play a ton, or like give me how many hours a week do you think that you guys do scrims and stuff like that? As you are a top tier team, so
Honestly, most of the time I'm not in the scrims, obviously, because a lot of times Nick or Mitzer hit that is around. So usually I'm not in the scrims, but I've been in scrims with them before, so I definitely know how they play. And I think there's a general knowledge of like playing with people like sixes. Most teams kind of play relatively similar. Like you kind of just know, like on that play, I know me going behind the net, the Tendy's going to cut towards the net. So I knew, like, it's just kind of like second nature. Like I know when I get the puck there that he's at least going to go to the net, and it's just a matter of looking to see if he's going to be covered or not. And then I saw the D or Matt, more so the center, and kind of came off of him, and I knew that I could just get it right to him. And fortunately enough, it worked out. We scored. So
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, I would say top teams kind of have similar plays or similar cuts for sure. That I feel like a lot of the top tier teams, anyone can kind of sub in and keep the mojo going for the most part and on that offensive chemistry. Next question for you, though. Who stood out for you on Infinity, and what impressed you about them?
I think who stood out for me the most on Infinity was Travi. I've been obviously playing with Travi for a really long time. I know how he plays. It was interesting again for me because the last couple of years he's been playing center, and now with him with the new roster change they have of Matt or Rux playing center and him going to left wing, it was really interesting to see how he would play back where he used to be playing in like NHL 13 and 14. And I mean, I thought obviously he's a good player, so I thought he fit in perfectly fine. He made a lot of really good plays along the boards. And I mean, having played center for so long, he's so good with the puck in tight spaces that there were a lot of times where I thought, especially me being on his side, like in entering the zone and stuff and having to step up on him, there were a couple of times where he got a step on me or whatever. And I was just in my head, I was just like, oh, that was a good play. He just flat out beat me one-on-one kind of thing. So I think he definitely stood out the most for me.
Since you got firsthand knowledge of playing them, where do you see them finishing? Are they going to make the playoffs? Top 16, top 8, land? Where do you see them going?
I think they're definitely a team that turns it on late, and especially because the lineup that they've created now, they haven't played together too much yet. And I think the players like that, you have star talent at every single position. And Travi, Gergs, and Matt all know how each other plays. So it's just a matter of time before they start clicking. Their offense was okay last night, but I know that wasn't the best that they can do, I guess. And I know that they'll start eventually clicking. And once they start clicking, they're a tough team to roll with. And the biggest thing with them is you put them in a series against a team. Like, I mean, yeah, technically last night was a series, but you put them in games where it's a playoff setting and it's a little bit different. They're not the team that you want to match up with. If you say you're a high seed and they pop in as one of the lower seeds, that's not the team that you want to match with first round.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there's 8, 10, maybe even 12 teams that can make the Final Four.
Definitely.
It's going to be a dogfight at the end. Yes, this kind of matters, but in the end, it's just the regular season. Playoffs is when everyone kind of turns it up a notch a little bit more than what we probably saw last night for sure.
No, agreed.
So you are the util for Composure, and you've actually already played 2 out of the 3 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if Composure makes it to the LAN event, do you plan on going to the finals, or are you going there as a starter or util because util has to pay their own way, or are you going to be in the starting lineup?
Okay, well, no. Okay, I'm going to take a little shot here at my
awkward
friend, official Mark, and Mark has a tendency to not want to, I guess, show up for things. So I have a strange feeling if we were to make the LAN that I may get the call on lefty and I might be the one flown out. No, but all kidding aside, I'm sure everyone would go. Obviously, in a setting like that, it's something everyone's been waiting for, especially in sixes for a long time. So I'm sure given the opportunity, people would kind of, as much as you can, put things to the side because it's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But I would definitely at least try and make it there. And yes. Sorry. You should definitely keep that in there. I would definitely at least try and get my way there because I don't know, being part of the team and again, once in a lifetime kind of thing, I would definitely at least try and make the drive down.
You're gonna keep me company on the drive down?
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're going, I'll definitely be there.
All right, final question for you, Booch.
Mhm.
4 teams can make it to the LAN. Pick 4, but it can't be your team.
Pick 4, but it can't be my team. Okay, well, first thing I'm going to say is not even in a biased perspective, but I do think Composure will be one of the teams there. But
It's a
even
bold
though
take.
Hot takes.
Yes, HL champs, buddy. Anyways, not in any order, but I think Entourage will definitely be there. As if we're talking about the teams that should be there, assuming they don't match in the brackets.
Can you
whatever.
Imagine they match like in the second round?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that'd be so rough.
Yeah.
But if every team is spread out properly and all these teams are possible of making it, I would say Entourage, Resilience, Turning Point, and probably Prophecy. I think Prophecy will start to turn it up a little bit. And my dark horses to make it, like, who knows what will happen. I think Infinity has a really good shot because, like I said, they're a team that'll turn it up, and they've all played in so many big games before that I think the nerves go to the side for them, whereas other teams who aren't as experienced, the nerves might get to them when you see, hey, a trip to Washington's on the line. I think these guys have been in more big game situations, and they're more mentally prepared for this, especially a guy like Matt. I think he brings a lot of leadership to the team because, I mean, he's literally been in however many LAN experiences playing in the 2K League, right?
Yeah, he's definitely probably the most decorated.
Exactly. So that helps
tournament.
Calm the nerves. And then also a team that I don't think gets enough love is Phantoms. They actually play, and I mean maybe they're not. I don't want to say they're not individually talented because they are, but they play very, very well as a unit. And not to go against my own team here, but I mean, I as everyone saw, they went up 3-0 against Composure in the first round of esports, and people just kind of forget about it because obviously Composure is a good enough team to be resilient and make the reverse sweep there. But Phantoms is very good as a team. I mean, they're 3-0 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah,
they just they held Legacy to 1 goal in 6 periods, so that's definitely a statement.
So, I mean, they're definitely trying to get people to take notice, and I don't blame them. They definitely deserve some respect, I would say.
What are your thoughts on Montage Moment?
I don't want to speak about that.
Fair enough. All right, bro, thank you for coming on and talking about Composure. You looked great in the game. You carried the offense, and whether you're utility or not, you did do fantastic. So thank you, my dude. And I'm sure we will have you on throughout the year or season. And, yeah, man, thanks a lot, dude.
Thank you.
All right, this is where we awkwardly end. Want to thank Boosh one more time just for, coming on and talking with us. I think that we're going to try and get someone from the featured game of the week every week to come and talk about their matchup. But no, like I said, he did have a fantastic series, and it'll be interesting to see if he steps in a little bit more. Composure can obviously be really confident that they have a good util that can fill in if need be. So we talked about the teams, the surprising series and whatnot, but I want to talk about the surprise 1 and 2 teams. So the 0 and 3 teams, it's pretty much done, unfortunately. I mean, you're going to have to go 5 in a row to win, or win 5 in a row just to make sure that you're guaranteed a spot. And even if you don't, you go 4. You have to go at least 4 and 1. So let's discuss the 1 and 2 teams, as you mentioned underdogs earlier, but they're not the only ones that are 1 and 2 that are in a dangerous place, because if they just randomly match up against each other, it's gonna be a mess for one of these teams. So why don't you go over the surprise 1 and 2 teams?
Yeah. You mentioned them already. Underdogs and the Forgotten are my 2 1 and 2 teams that I'm really surprised about. Technically, they're 1 and 1 because they had a forfeit 1 week. I believe Forgotten had a forfeit this week. Underdogs had a forfeit in week 2. But both of these teams are, I would say, top 16, top 20 teams in the tournament, and they should definitely be in a playoff spot. But like you mentioned, if they somehow match up against each other, one of these teams is going to be 1-3, and that is a huge hill to climb in order to make the playoffs. I think they still both do make the playoffs, but they're both surprising to be down here at 1-2.
Another thing we got to think about is that if any of these teams, so the team that loses, let's say they match up, hypothetically go to 1-3, you can't have a forfeit. I mean, throughout the 8 weeks and whatnot, you only have one sub. So there will come a time when, unfortunately, or there could be where, there's an emergency, something like that. If you're 1-3, you can't take a forfeit. So that just adds even more stress, a lot less wiggle room. And, man, it would be I would 100% try and make that the game of the week if they matched up against each other, because 100%. That essentially, that game would determine the playoffs essentially for both of them. So, but you have another team here. What was another one?
Yeah, the last one, they're technically 1-2 after they forfeited this week, but they're actually dropping out of the tournament. That is Reckless Abandon. I would have easily had them as a top 20 team as well. I would have for sure thought they would have made the playoffs. So having them drop out of the tournament opens the spot for another team to make it, and we'll see who possibly that could be. But I was looking forward to seeing what they could do in this tournament, and it's unfortunate. I think one of their guys had a schedule change and can no longer make it, so they were down to 6 guys with no subs allowed. You allowed that util, so it's just a bad spot for them. I feel bad for S. Bass on that team. He's a really good player, and it's just unfortunate.
Now, it does open up a spot for another team, but I know what team it probably won't be, and that'll be Montage Moment, as we took some serious heat by kind of staking our claim last week, and it ruffled the feathers of Donnie Bra and the Montage Moment boys, including Nasher, as they had their first test. And I just want to talk about it real quick, because I think that, what's a week without talking about Nasher's team? But, they ran into Dahlia, who has a ton of, PS4 6s guys, which was laughed at by Donnie, and they got absolutely throttled. Not a surprise to us. We kind of called it. And what I will say, though, is this. I do not think that they are a bad team. I think that they probably will make the playoffs if they stick together. I think they really need to scrim more. I think that this is a team that, has 6 guys that know how to play NHL individually. I think they desperately need to get together and play some 6s, because while they did get out to a 2-0 start, now they're 2-1, and if they get a tough matchup in week 4 and fall to 2-2, they're in for a tough road, because again, you just need to get, I think, to that 5-win threshold, and banking another win to go to 3-1 would be huge for them, because then again, they just need 2 down the road. But what do you think? Give me your quick takes on what you saw from the Montage Moment game, because I know you watched.
Yeah, we kind of called it. The 0-5 trap of Dahlia was going to be difficult. I think John Wayne on the call was saying how big Dahlia looked compared to Montage Moment, which is another thing that a lot of top teams have a little bit bigger guys for the most part. And it's just a different game when you get to that top tier 0-5 trap. We saw it in the featured game with Composure as well. It's very difficult to break in, and you need that chemistry. You need to scrim against teams that do that to become familiar with it. And they just couldn't break it in. It was really, really tough for them to gain any kind of offensive traction. They dumped it in, and they weren't timing it correctly to have anyone on the puck or near the puck, and it was an easy pickup for Dahlia most of the game. And yeah, hate to say we were right, but we were right.
What do you think of Dahlia? Playoff team?
Playoff team, for sure.
Yeah,
I think they're a top 10 team.
Top 10?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
For sure. That 0-5 trap is very, very difficult to break.
It was really slow. It was a very, very slow game, and they were very careful with the puck. I think that they're a kind of team where I said this in actually the featured game, where it just seems like if Infinity didn't score because they were having such a hard time against the trap, if you don't score first, you're pretty much cooked. It's going to take a lucky point shot, something like that, which Infinity used. I think that's what Montage Moment specifically is going to run into quite a bit, is when they play those structured teams, they've got to stop trying to set up for like one-timers and stuff. And literally, I was watching that first game before the featured game came on, and it was like, get across the line and just rip one on net at a certain point, because unfortunately, again, just comes with not playing a ton together, and I think that they will, and we'll see how it goes. But guys, that will do it for the Week 3 recap. Let us know what you think in the comments and on Twitter. Except you, Donnie, we know what you think. Stop it. And we'll be back in a few days to cover the Week 4 schedule release. And man, I kind of want to see Forgotten and Underdogs. Like that would be key. That would be
so cruel. That would be so cruel.
There are 10 3-0 teams, so we are going to get some biggies regardless. And but yeah, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.